I want to start by telling you all the story of a little girl born July 4th, 1941, in Agra, Uttar Pradesh, India. Shakuntala was born to Ishwar Das and Bhagwati Devi. The three of them lived with Ishwar Das's large family, packed into a great big wooden house with an often locked front door. To Shakuntala, it was locked for one reason: to stop her from getting an education. You see, her grandfather, the reigning patriarch, was an iron-fisted traditionalist who certainly didn't want his granddaughter being corrupted by school. But not even he could stop Shakuntala and her mother Bhagwati. You see, Bhagwati herself was denied schooling, but she didn't want that life for her daughter. And to gift Shakuntala an education, she was forced to secretive lengths. Every day, Shakuntala would sneak out the back door, run down the twisting dirt lanes of Agra in her pleated skirt to catch the afternoon session of school. She learned in secret, and at the end of the day, she would sneak back in through the kitchen door. It's easy to forget that stories like Shakuntala's are not a relic of the past. Here at Whitney, we have a culture of both men and women seeking higher education. But globally, there are 130 million girls who lack proper access to an education. This is exacerbated in rural areas because if you're already in a place where women's education may be looked down upon, then the further away a school is, the more of an excuse a family has to not send their daughters. In fact, in Pakistan, when the distance between a school and a village increases by just half a kilometer, female enrollment rates plummet by 20%. But that should make our job easy, shouldn't it? I mean, if the problem is distance, if schools really are just too far away, all we have to do is build more schools. Let's hire more teachers, create more classrooms, give women more space. And it's working. In Indonesia, Egypt, and several other African countries, building more schools is increasing the enrollment rates of local girls. But if it's working that well, then how come only 49% of countries have achieved gender parity or equality in primary education? And why is it that women are less likely than men to be enrolled in traditional, technical, and vocational education everywhere in the world? That's because the issue is a little bit more complicated than we may realize. You see, making space, that's the second half of the fight. And we haven't even conquered the first. The first half of the fight is allowing women to take the space that they deserve. If a family doesn't believe women's education to be a priority, then it doesn't matter how close you make a school, girls will not attend. Families will not allow them to. These girls, they face more than just the obstacle of distance. They're fighting against poverty, child marriage, gendered violence and discrimination, social fragility, wars, national conflict, and patriarchal leadership. In fact, of those 130 million deprived girls, 75 million of them come from these low-income, fragile, conflict, and violent contexts. It's more than just not enough space. But girls every day fight these conditions just to learn as they deserve. So isn't it our duty to help them along in that fight? Because women's education is a right. It's the gift of the future. When girls have the opportunity to learn, their wages increase by 10 to 20% for every year of primary education that they have. They get married older too. In Latin America and the Caribbean, Women with education die 3.1 times less in childbirth than their uneducated counterparts. Their children also tend to survive longer. Their families prosper, and the girls themselves, they achieve a level of economic and social autonomy. Don't believe me? Let's revisit Shakuntala. Shakuntala ended up attending Firozabad College for a bachelor's in physics. She then went on to attend Banaras University, where she attained a master's in nuclear physics. It was there that she met her husband, and early on in their marriage, it was her salary as a teacher at a girls' school that sustained the two. Together, they had 4 children, 3 of whom are brilliant daughters. Her eldest daughter became an OBGYN, her middle an incorruptible accountant. And her youngest daughter? Well, Shakuntala sent her youngest daughter, Neelam, to America, where Neelam thought to redo all her medical credentialing. And Neelam also had a daughter. And that daughter is standing before you on behalf of those 130 million girls who are begging for an education. I am here on this stage because my grandmother pursued learning and gifted me a future. She gifted me the privilege to learn without fear and obstacle. So much privilege that I almost forgot the girls around me. For so long, we've been taught that those 130 million girls are from somewhere else. They're mythic creatures whose stories, like my grandmother's, are used to convince American women that they're safe. America will never lack space in schools or workplaces. But like I said, it's never about how much space there is, but who's allowed to take it. Who is allowed the opportunity to learn and change their lives? Across California, 50% of teenage mothers will never complete their high school diploma. Only 2% of teenage mothers will attain a college degree by the age of 30. Their children also become more likely to drop out of schools and become teenage parents themselves. They feel shamed and judged. They report a lack of resources in the schools they attend, and they have nowhere to take their kids. In effect, these girls have been stripped of their agency. They have spots in schools, but they just can't take them. And though there are teenage mothers who find success in life, the world makes it harder for them every step of the way. But we don't even have to go that far to talk about this problem. Let's talk about it right here. Whitney. When I joined mock trial, I was one of 7 girls. There was a single female attorney, there were 3 female witnesses, and 0 women on cabinet. There was nothing explicitly icing me out, but there was an unnameable feeling I had that stopped me from sharing my thoughts, from taking space. For the next 3 years, I drew from my grandmother's strength. I encouraged girls to sign up, to stay in the club, to apply for cabinet. Now, 3 years later, as co-president, our club can boast half female membership. And I hope none of them have that unnameable feeling. But I didn't do it alone. We helped each other, pushed each other. No one woman alone is going to change the world. We all have to brighten our little corner of it. My grandmother brightened hers. Those 130 million girls, they're fighting to change theirs. And believe it or not, you can change your corner of the world. Encourage a female friend to go into STEM, even if she's hesitant. Give a woman a seat at a business conference. Study with a teenage mother who may be struggling. Take space yourself, but help others take space as well. That's how you brighten your corner of the world. Getting into the door that's about the hardest thing a woman can do. But the real change happens afterward, when we hold the door open and welcome other women in. It's our obligation to hold this door open. Because once we're all in the room, only then can we come together to build a world where no woman has to claw for space. Thank you.